Ready, set. Okay, so Amazing Grace, we have time on our hands that we didn't know that we were going to have before, and so we have some opportunities. We can either get bored and or crazy and say there's nothing for us to do, or we can do something better. And I think that the better is to try and figure out what can we do after COVID-19 leaves us, and there will be that time. And so if we're not prepared for after, we might fall into the same situation as we're falling in today, is anxiety ridden, et cetera, because we didn't plan for what it was going to be like afterwards. And it could be very vibrant, it could be very wonderful, but particularly it will be wonderful and vibrant if we do something about it. So under things to know right now, we're going to talk to an amazing lady that I think is amazing in what she does. Her name is Laura Meeks, and she is a life coach, and she has a company called Fly High Living. And again, this is another one that you can find in the Wellness Village on our website. So when we finish with Laura, you're going to say, well, I'd like to have somebody like her. We'll talk about that too. But so Laura and I will start a conversation for you to start with yourself or with someone who's around you. But you have to do the work on this. But she can be the one who can help you create the flight plan. So Laura, thank you so much for joining us today. And in the short time that you and I've known each other, short can be a couple of years, but
Yeah.
you've actually helped me develop my flight plan. And part of that, what it did for me, was gotten me off on a trip to Italy that I had been saying, well, one day I'll get to, one day I'll get to. I probably would never have gotten to. Amazingly, that was 1 year ago as we speak,
Right.
that I got up and went to Italy and had a fabulous time. So
Yeah, like you got in early, right?
yes, yes, exactly. So
Got there before the virus got there.
I did. I mean, just as long they don't say I took the virus there, but that, no, got none of that. Okay, so can you kind of tell the audience what is a life coach?
Yeah, life coach has got a very broad term, but part of what I'm going to start with is this. I've lived a full life, and as you learn more about me, you'll realize that I've done a lot of amazing things. But I've had an Air Force career. After that, I had a business career, and now I have a coaching career. So, the essence to me of what a life coach does is helps facilitate a change or a transformation in your life. So using you as an example, it's very easy to get lined up and busy with everything that's going on. We all have a zillion things to do and a lot of things to worry about. And sometimes it's just really, really helpful to sit down for an hour with me or someone like me who's a life coach and just talk about some broader ideas of where you want to go and what you want to do and how you might get there. And I think one of the things that I bring to the table, two really important things that I bring to the table. One is I've had an incredible experience in life. I'm just coming up on 65 this year, so I have a lot of.
You don't look a day over
and I
40.
appreciate it. There's some pluses. I got some good genes from my dad. So that it's not like one of the things I was pointing out on another radio show was it's not like I read the book. It's like I've lived this experience. So I know what it is like to make a change in your life. And the other thing I bring with me not only is the experience, but the tools. So I'm certified through a company, Life Solutions, that certified me as a life coach. And part of what that gave me were some of the tools and the techniques in the background, so that when we're talking about making a transformation in your life, that what we're talking about is things that I can suggest to you, exercises and tips and tools that you can use to make a change in your life. And
do you typically cover do you cover life in general, or do you break it down into bits and pieces so that it's like, I mean, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it.
yeah, well, and how do you absolutely how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And absolutely, we could take a look at your whole life, but what's really interesting in general is rather than being a psychologist, and look back at all the things you've done and how it might affect you right now. I don't really care about that. I mean, I do care about you as a person and how you got here, but my work is to take you from where you are right today and ask you, where do you want to go? That's what you and I did in the Flight Plan for Life,
Yeah.
and Jeremy's done it, and others have done it here within the Parkinson's Resource Organization, where I'll sit down with you and just ask you what's really important right now. And if you wanted to do three things in the next year or so, what would be the three most important things that you want to do, and how could we start working towards that? What are the tools and things that you need to work towards that? Now,
So in essence then, so somebody wants to use a life coach services, they should have probably on a piece of paper, what, 3 items of 3 things where
well,
they want to
yeah,
go,
I
or?
mean, it surely helps to have thought a little bit about it. But oftentimes I find that the best thing that we do is if you're anywhere now in this new environment, the good news is I have this Zoom platform,
Yeah.
so I can do this anytime. But we can sit down with a cup of coffee and just discuss. The first hour is free, so that we can just discuss
Well, I must tell
where
you,
you
before you
are.
get too generous with your time, you're going out throughout the world right now, Laura. So we really want to address
Well,
this as being life coach in general. Otherwise, you'll never be able to handle all of
well,
those that come your way.
we have a plan for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but in general, the essence is that what we want to do is find out what's important to you, and how and develop how you can get there. Because realize a life coach is not a guru. I don't have saintly powers. I feel like a saint in some regard, but I'm here to help you, the client, figure out what they want and how they can get there based on what is important to you.
Well, let me say to the audience and to the world that so because we're in the Parkinson's world and we really want to zero in on that, and today with the conundrum or the coronavirus situation, I can tell you that what Laura has done and what people in the life coach business should be able to do is she has helped caregivers of people with Parkinson's come out from being so distressed and so like, oh my God, my life is over. I mean, what am I going to do now? I didn't ask for this. She's taken caregivers and put them back in touch with themselves and where they are going in their life. She's taken people with Parkinson's and said, oh, it's not over. It's not over. And she didn't say this one, somebody else did. It's not over till the fat lady sings, but she
That's
is
not
saying,
quite necessarily.
yeah, it's not over because you have a full life in front of you. So let's start working on how to get that life going again.
Yeah,
So addressing those two, Laura, where would you take somebody who's either a caregiver and they're kind of stuck and feeling sorry for themselves, or the person with Parkinson's who says, oh my God, life is over. I'm done.
yeah, and as you say, Joe, I have been on. I've worked with both sides of this, and by far and away, you're absolutely right. On the caregiver side, I have worked with a bunch of people within the Parkinson's world, and I've dealt with other people who, as we get older, the boomer generation is now taking care of our parents. And part of the challenge is very, very easy to get sucked into the whirlpool and find yourself, 6 months, a year, 2 years, you've been working hard to care so much for your patient that you lose your life. And so part of what we want to do is put life in perspective. And again, the value of having somebody come in and merely just talk from an outside perspective is to ask you about where you are, how you're feeling, and how can we add just another piece of life. Because it is very easy to get stuck caring for somebody 24/7 and shouldering that burden. But as you and I have talked, it does not help your partner if you are so tired and so cranky that it's hard for you to care. And it's insidious.
It
It
doesn't
shows
help
up
anyone. It doesn't help the partner. It doesn't help the person,
doesn't.
the
So
caregiver. Yes, thank
So
you
a
for
lot of
saying.
what we talk about on the caregiver side is what are some of the few things you'd like to add back into your life, and how can we adjust your situation in such a way that you're sure that the person that you're caring for is getting good care, but that you get rest that you need. And there's a book that I use that I got from you that deals with just that
Yeah.
very perspective, and it's
We're
very
so excited, Laura. Just an aside, we're going to start our support groups online, and to think about the value of that in the sharing of information. So yes, thank you. Carry on.
yeah. Well, and there is a huge value to the support groups that you put together, because that it's through that support group that you realize that you're not the only one that's working 24/7 to care for your loved one, and that it's a huge burden. And part of what we share is the idea that there are other tools and techniques and things you can do to make it a joyful time for both of you.
And
Now,
what's
on the
different for
Parkinson,
there you go. Thank you very much.
yeah.
Yes.
So on the Parkinson side, then the other challenge is that you get diagnosed. And I've talked to a number of of the people that are in your organization and support groups. We've been all around Southern California. Uh, it's very easy to get the feeling that you have been diagnosed and that's it. I mean, now my life is going downhill. There's nothing I can do. I'm just, wasting away. And in a reality, this is not something that takes you out like a heart attack. There is a period of time, and there are lots of things that you can do to gain value in your life given what you have available.
Oh, it's so true. I mean, you can sit there and, as we said in the very beginning, you can be depressed or angry or, I've done, or you can actually go on and build where you want to go.
Well, and I use the 5 stages of grief in my work all the time. And yes, you're going to go through the depression. Yes, you're going through the anger, all of that. But you get to the 5th stage where you're accepting what you have and then using that to build as much of a life as you can with what you have. So rather than just resigning yourself to laying on the couch, let's think about stuff that you can do, because there are things you can do. And I'll give you a clear example. When I was hiking yesterday on the bump and grind, as I'm coming down, there is a guy coming down. He must be 80 some years old with 2 canes, and he's just, barely rocking down through all the little rocks. And so I said, you are an incredible inspiration to me, because this means that you don't, even if you're got 2 canes and you can't barely move, he made it all the way up to the top of the first double switchback and made it back down. And he said,
wonderful.
I said, you're not stuck. There are things that you can do. And there are things that you can share. Your brain is still there. So
how do we kind of inspire people with Parkinson's or caregivers, to come out of their shell if they're in one, and to find a life coach and to go forward with making a plan for the rest of their life?
Yeah, well, and I agree. Now, one of the things that I think is great is you have Wellness Village, which is putting all kinds of resources into everybody's hands. Not only life coaching, hypnosis, there are all kinds of avenues, spiritual, scientific. I mean, some of the scientists that brought in some of the new brain things, incredible stuff. But part of what you have to do is you have to decide whether you're going to live life or you're going to give up. And by far and away, maybe that's part of what I bring, is to inspire you, the fact that lots of things can happen in your life, and a lot of things happen in my life, your life. But we get through it. The COVID virus is here. We're going to get through this. That people are going to get through this. We had the depression. We had the war. We had, all kinds of things, 60s and 70s, where all that happened. But all throughout that, there are people who grabbed on and did the best they could with what they have. And every one of your associates in the Parkinson's Resource Organization has incredible stuff at their fingertips. And a lot of what I bring is just the chance to talk about some of the things that you might like to do and show you a path that you might be able to get there.
I'm so
You went to Italy. You didn't think you had. It was like, I should go to Italy. Shouldn't I? It's like, go now. It's like, okay, I'm going now. It's like,
And I did it. So I am so grateful that you joined us today, because I just believe that we have inspired a lot of people to think that this isn't over. It's a little scary today. Maybe not watch so much television so that we get more scared, but work on your life plan.
yeah.
And so if you want to talk to Laura, you can find her in the Wellness Village on our website. If you want to find another coach, how might they find another coach? Is that one company that you mentioned? Do they have a database of life coaches?
Honestly, the probably the broadest, easiest way is just to type life coach into Google, and there's I think within the United States there's like 400,000 of us.
But then we have to vet them. We have to make sure that they
Yeah, well,
fit
and that's part of it is that I would say look in your local area first, because there's no doubt in my mind that I do my best work with people. If I can sit down at a coffee table with you at Panera, which is my office, it's shut down right now. But once we get back, and then it's nice to be able to actually have physical contact. So I just type in Life Coach Palm Springs. I'll be in there. There's a couple of my friends that are in there and some others that are around. Ask your friends, have you used a life coach and who do you like?
And in Parkinson's, I just don't think that too many people have used life coaches, but today we're inspiring them to use everything and anything to keep them going forward in the greatest that's what PRO, Parkinson's Resource Organization, is all about, bringing the greatest quality of life possible as we're in this life. And we're all going to end at some point. But while we're here, let's stand up.
We're here.
While we're here, let's be counted.
Even Parkinson's people can go ballooning, and I'm happy to take you ballooning. I fly gliders. If you want to go fly in a glider, I can take you up. There's a lot of life experience to have, no matter where you are, what you're doing. So,
Laura, thank you so much for being with us today. We totally appreciate you. We'll be in touch, and maybe we'll do another go round when we get through all these resources. We're trying to get one out a day at a minimum.
Yeah.
Let people know what's available and how they can live a better life. Love you a lot. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
You guys do. See you soon. Bye-bye.